Since 2007, the Scottish Leader programme has provided £67 million in funding to more than 2,000 projects. Funded in part by the EU and delivered by 20 local action groups, this period of Leader funding provided significant opportunities for local development across an area covering 95% of rural Scotland. But the Leader programme is about more than just a collection of numbers. It's about the people in these communities, their vision, energy and commitment.
Gardening in Benbecula is a real struggle, and the Western Isles in general, just because of the weather. And to have a space inside where we can all work together has been great.
East Camp provides training and facilities to local people to grow their own plants and vegetables.
The geographical challenges of island life mean that the population is very widespread. So being able to come to a site like this means that they can learn to grow. But not only that, they also learn about their community.
The project also provides a wider resource for people in Benbecula.
We get volunteers through a number of ways. We get social work referrals. We've got a mental health outreach worker that also may refer people to the project. The Leader funding's been absolutely crucial. Without that funding, we wouldn't be where we are now, which has been able to keep the project alive.
On the slightly less windswept coastline of Dumfries and Galloway, another Leader-funded project has brought local people out to learn about their environment and to promote tourism.
Making the most of the coast was a project about drawing attention to this great resource, the Solway Coast, rich in heritage, wildlife.
The project promoted the coastline through a series of guides, photography and short films, and encouraged local people to take part in activities such as beach cleans.
So we got involved with arts projects, using the litter to make art. One of our artists made this fantastic sea monster on the beach at Redhane. Schools came down and helped. They wrote stories about the monster, and in fact they went away and made their own faces out of beach litter as well that they'd collected. Making the most of the coast is a brilliant example of sustainable development. The initial money has led to groups getting involved with the coast and continuing to get involved.
Enhancing the potential for tourism has been a key consideration for many communities.
The community took over Braemar Castle in 2007, and the castle was in a fairly poor state of repair.
The castle was in danger of being either sold or knocked down, and the community decided they would try to take it over and reinstate the castle as a tourist attraction. So my first involvement was coming down here and helping to clean, brush and sweep and get rid of all the cobwebs.
The main problem was the roof was in poor order and it needed to be replaced, and that's where we applied for Leader funding, and that has enabled us to completely replace the majority of the roof, and it's now waterproof.
In many ways, I think it's been a catalyst for a lot of things that has happened in the village. It was a challenging project, there was a lot to be done, and there was a bit of doubt as to whether the community could actually pull it off, but we have pulled it off.
We're now moving into a second Leader phase, which is to repair the interior, to improve the visitor attraction facilities. We're also looking at the possibility of having a visitor centre.
When we first opened the castle in 2008, we had 4,500 visitors. In 2015, we had 10,000 visitors. So it has been really important in attracting more people to come to the area.
I would say Braemar Castle adds a lot to life in Braemar. It's a wonderful place to live anyway, but having this castle just gives that added attraction, added sense of belonging. I think we feel we own this castle as a community, and it gives us all a common bond.
A number of Leader projects have focused on the importance of a central building. At Elphin, the community's desire to convert their disused Victorian school into a community hall required local people to help bring the toilet facilities up to scratch.
We now have a Wednesday market from May through to September, so something like 20 markets in a year. We have a music festival in June. We have a chicken day in July.
There's been a little baby boom in the area recently. So from several years with no babies, there's suddenly 4 babies in the area, which was very exciting. We meet once a week every Thursday morning, and yeah, it's a lovely way to keep in touch with people.
And the craft market brings in a little bit of income for the hall as well, but it also means that people can make something of their crafts and develop them and also find a market for them. I think the hall is a way of galvanising a community. You need a central place where you can meet.
People from the villages around about, they always say, oh, there's quite a lot going on in Elphin. It really feels like it's coming alive again.
At Boyndy on the Banff coast, a former school has been converted into a thriving visitor centre, providing training and employment. Moving the centre's workshop to a new building freed up space for a permanent training facility. The funding also provided for an improved shop and increased growing space in the garden centre.
Apart from just being a good thing to do financially, has also created a lot more training opportunities and job opportunities for us.
The Boyndy Visitor Centre not only provides a service to our customers because they come for tea, coffee shops, but it provides a service for people with special needs to be out in the community and be a part of the community.
I do 2 days in the gardens and 2 days in the kitchen. Boyndy gave me training when I don't get nowhere else.
There's no question at all that Banffshire Coast as an area has benefited from LEADER in terms of better facilities, better services, and increasing the tourist trade, which in itself brings increased prosperity.
The importance of creating facilities that can encourage young people to remain in our rural communities was at the heart of another LEADER-funded project.
D8 Music was formed in 2005. It was formed by a group of young people in the town who were musicians and were initially looking for a space that they could use for rehearsing and just get together, talking about music, learning from one another. From that, it's grown over the years and we now have our own recording studio. We also do a variety of festivals throughout the year and we support other community groups in their events as well.
I've been involved with D8 Music since I was about 9 years old, and I first came into this as a family member. It was my sister and my mum who was involved. I used to just sit there in the meetings being quiet, and because I was just a child, and I started to notice things developing with the LEADER project. We rent the studio out to other people in the community, so we make a little bit of income from that. But we also run several festivals throughout the year, and having the base of the studio has allowed those festivals to grow, and now we have our big festival that we do every year, Bondfest. This is its 10th anniversary, and we're expecting between 4,000 and 5,000 people to come into the town over the weekend.
I think it's important that younger kids in Kinnamuir have somewhere to go that's not kind of just kicking about outside. And there's nothing music based for kids who are interested in it outside of school, and it's important that they have somewhere to come and kind of be with people who have common interests.
Many LEADER projects also rely on funding from other organisations, as well as the generosity of those local people who not only share their skills and knowledge, but aren't afraid to get their hands dirty if it means improving life in their local community.
We were very fortunate in that Angus Council supported us through their community grant scheme, and that's where our match funding for the project came from.
As a very young community association, we didn't have very much money, and so what we did was our contribution, rather than being in cash terms, was work in kind.
We have got a tiny community here, just 400, and we've got over 40 people involved with the castle. Some of them as guides, some of them working in the shop, some of them doing the garden. So 10% of the population is a pretty high margin.
The application process, there's no point hiding, it isn't a 5-minute job. It's quite a long process. But in defence of it, it's a process that makes you think very long and hard about your project, and that's a good thing.
That initial injection of funding allows you to really provide facilities that lead to that sort of sustainable development that the communities in areas like this really need.
If you're considering an application for leader, go for it. It's a very important source of funding, and it's a very important source of match funding.
It really galvanised everything together and made a fantastic project happen.